we are going to assemble the Ark cards, as in Noah's Ark. So I've got an elephant, bears, and giraffes. Got the pieces here laid out for the back of one. This is the Ark and the waves for the other two. I'll show you how to assemble that. This is a card I've had in my mind for a while, and with this new slice card design, I was finally able to make it come to life. I tried it in a pop-up. It just did not look right. So we're going to start with the front wave. It's these two pieces. When you line these up, excuse me, you're going to line up the tip of the white here to the top tip, to the tip of the blue. And that gives you just a nice little, kind of looks like a rolling action of the wave. Okay. So I'm going to put a little glue here. You don't want to over glue. You don't want your pieces curling on you. And so that front piece is just that simple. Okay, we'll set that there. Now I'm going to pull in my Ark. So I do have the solid white piece with no slits on the bottom. This goes on after we put the slice pieces on. Slide these off. The base of your boat is going to be whatever color you want the trim, this trim here to be, and your line. So I've done mine in a darker brown to offset. And I'm going to start by putting my sun on, making sure I have it lined up, because that'll give me a stop for the roof. And next is your roof. And like I mentioned before, that gives me a nice stop for getting that lined up just right. Okay, the next piece I'm going to put on is one of the bow pieces. I'm being careful not to get too much glue because my base is dark and I don't want that showing through. So this lines up exactly to this curve if you use that curve to line it up, and then just line it up exactly along the edge. I've tried, I worked hard getting this piece so that it didn't have too many layers on it, because I didn't want the back to be too heavy or too thick for the slice to fit on. So basically it just has two layers. Okay, so now that we've got this in place, you're going to take this piece and you're just going to leave a slight border around the top and make sure you have a slight border in here. And that's why I put these on first, so that I can get this lined up the way that I want it in there. Then we've got the little window here. There is a score line on this back piece. I just folded that up to make this like shutters. And then you're just going to center that here on this upper piece. And I'm not gluing the shutters down, just so that it will have a little bit of, I guess I'm spitting, and we'll have a little bit of dimension there. And now I'm going to take my first slice. I like to just go ahead and lay it down flat. I'm going to flip this over while I'm holding it. Bend this back. I'm going to glue this down. This will help hold your card together. Then flip it back over, bend it the other way. You're going to do that with each piece. Put it in. Lay it over. I'm making sure that it's level. And I'm making sure that I continue to hold this piece here against here flat so it doesn't move. Then fold it back the other way. My last slice. Making sure that it's level. Okay, now with those glued down, I'm going to put the back on. I like doing these with this backing. This gives you, I do mine in white, so it gives me a nice big space for writing my greeting on. There we are. Okay. Then I can go ahead and put my wave on. It goes on the front, in the front slit. It might be a little tight passing your, I don't think I have this one lined up. Oh, my machine did not cut this one all the way down, I don't think. Yes, it did. Cut that one. I must not just have it lined up exactly right. There we are. Okay. So you have to get them lined up just right. You want it to be a little bit tight because you don't want these pieces just to fall out. Okay, so there it is. And now let's start working on an animal. I'm going to pull in the elephant. Now the elephant, because of his ears, I could not make him side by side, kind of like the other two animals, without completely covering the face of the elephant that was in back. So he's stacked on top of himself. And that's the reason why he's a little bit different. So you want to put the black backing there on the back first. And just line his head up to the top center right there. And then put on his trunk. Now my front elephant. Then I'm going to put his little hands on. I'm going to put those right up close, right there. I'm only going to put glue here on one side of his foot because I just need it to glue to that side. The other side's not really touching anything because it's up on the layer. Just like that. And I'm going to get my foam tape. This is foam tape that I get from Dollar Tree. There we are. And then I'm just going to line this up. And hopefully this is not in the way of the, he should be high enough. Okay, I'm going to pull this off here for just a second. One problem that I've noticed that you have when you try to do foam tape is that if it's in a spot, I can't get that to stick. That would be covered up by the slice. You don't know until you put it on. You can't have the foam tape there or it won't go. So I pulled that foam tape just off the bottom so that I can glue him down flat right there. But I want this dimension here because there's another elephant there. Now this should allow my slice to slide over the elephant. I get it lined up. There we are. Okay. And there it is. There is the elephant, the arc elephant. So I'll set him aside. And now I'm going to do the giraffe. So both animals are the same size, so it doesn't matter. You don't have to keep up with which piece goes where because they're the same size. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue here behind his head for the black. I'm going to put on a little black oval, making sure it's just behind his nose and his eyes. There is a snout. And you just want to line these holes up. Just like that. And then the upper, the one that's higher, is the one that's the back. Using a little bit of glue here. My bottle's not working too good. just like that. And then you're going to add the bigger hooves are the feet, the smaller hooves are the hands. Find the right pieces here. Again, you don't need a whole lot of glue to hold these on, so you don't want to over glue it. Okay. Now we're going to work on the front. So just like the other one, we're going to put the black on for his eyes and his snout. And now because this overlaps the other giraffe, you can see through here. The top piece has a head to fit behind, and that's going to block that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is put on his head. Just dab enough glue in here to hold it on. And we'll have to do the same thing with the giraffe that we did with the elephant, and only pop up his head. So again, I'm just taking my time to line up, pushed it too far, to line up the holes there in his snout. And I'm going to add this piece of foam right here behind his head, and the rest of his body we're going to glue down. Well, I made a mess of that. And now add his feet. And you'll want to, this one foot that you can kind of place wherever you want, make sure that you're kind of putting it over to the side enough that your slice doesn't have to go over it, because we're starting to get quite a few layers here, and it might have difficulty going on if you aren't careful of that right there. Now we're going to add his hands. Got a little bit of fuzz. This didn't cut very clean. This wasn't a very good sheet of cardstock that I found. I was using up some scraps, and this was not as nice, so it didn't cut as pretty. There. Okay, now there is our giraffe. Let's get our boat and slide them on in. These cards are A2. And sometimes you just have to kind of feel around to get this slid into the right spot. I think I've got it. Nope. that hoof, that inside hoof, I do have right where my slice needs to go over. But it went on. And there's the giraffe. That's a darling. This is the giraffe arc. And it does fold to the side. And I would just train the paper, fold it both ways a couple of times so that when your recipient gets it, it's worked in and can go both ways. So there's the giraffe. And now let's do our bear. Okay. So you're going to start with the inside of the ears. And then put the backing on. And it is cut to be just slightly smaller, so just make sure you're covering all the space. All of them are that way. And just like the elephant, you're just going to kind of line it up here at the top and then line up there at his cheek. Because this curve right here is the ear of the other bear. So line it up to the top and to the side. Now for him, he only has, the bottom bear only has one hand and one foot, because the other would be covered by the bear that's in front. Okay, so yes, you should only have three paws and 3 paws. I said that twice. Okay, so now let's put this bear together. And again, let's start with his ears so we don't forget to put this in place first. Whoopsie. And if you didn't want to have a contrasting inside ear color, you could leave this piece off if you wanted. He looks just as cute without those in his ear. For me, I feel like it just helps give him a little bit more definition. I'm going to put his hands on first. And then I'm going to put the bear in place. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and use my foam tape behind his head up near the top. Okay, so I have enough space to get this down low enough. He's just a little bit slanted. So you just want to kind of line him up there. And you can see how his other foot and hand would be behind the bear that's in front. And then we're going to add his feet. And he is finished. Make sure I get that pretty low. That paw too is going to be a little bit thick putting this on, but just like the giraffe, you should be able to get it up and over that. Yep, there we go. And there is, I'm just kind of straightening out that middle one a little bit, and there is the bear arc. So you have a choice of a bear, an elephant, and giraffe. Thank you for joining me.